Hello, beautiful you. Create a life you adore. What is that like for you? Does it have fun, freedom, fulfillment? Today I am Gerri Mana, but I think you know that already. But today I'm joined by Devorah Spilman, and I'm really, really excited. I've known Devorah for a long time. She's been a savior of mine a few times. And she is a master storyteller and has been for 3 decades. She is also an intuitive coach, and she helps writers and creators and entrepreneurs to really find their confidence and get clarity so that they can share their heart and tell their deep, authentic stories and live a life of purpose and transform their lives and potentially others as well. Devorah, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. How are you, beautiful?
I'm delighted to be here. And, I always love when we dive into our favorite topics.
It's exciting. Obviously I wouldn't have created a summit that I'm not passionate about. So tell me about your life, because it's really interesting. When I talk about creating a life you adore, a lot of people get triggered and they're like, oh yeah, that's for the other people who are, that's for the people that have, an easy life or whatever. What would you say to people who think they can't create a life they adore, or they don't even know what a life they adore is like?
Well, a lot of times it's doing the deep work to be able to realize we have a choice about what story we tell ourselves about what's happening to us. And the thing is, it's not always easy to make that shift. And I remember a time many years ago walking in the forest. I was just starting into this visionary entrepreneurial world, and I was really doing my work, and I was learning this lesson about how you can really choose how you feel. It's up to you. And I was walking the forest, I live in Portland, which is my healing place. And I was feeling upset. I honestly don't even remember what it was about. And I was like walking through the forest going, I cannot choose how I feel. I am upset. I am upset. I am upset. And at a certain point in my head, I just heard myself say to myself, just stop it. Stop it. And I started cracking. I stopped in the forest, just stood there, and I went, and my inner voice said to me, stop it. You're walking in the forest. You're fine. And I just started laughing. And in that moment, I made myself accept that I have a choice, because sometimes my upset was so precious to me. I just want to be upset. And so being able to develop an observer side of ourselves is extraordinarily powerful. Having an observer and a very big tool bag of shifting tools. How do you shift out of what's bothering you into a more positive, more uplifted, more powerfully clear place? And so one of those tools I call pause, notice, and shift. And you pause. If you're just, so I'm going to just say one other thing. There's kind of two different kinds of being upset. One is I'm upset because it's just inside me. I'm just running my own inner upset. Sometimes really hard stuff happens. So someone passes away, someone's really sick, something really awful happens, and you need to give yourself time to feel the thing that you're feeling and then do your work. But sometimes nothing is occurring. I don't know how many of you have ever had this. Nothing is occurring. You're just in full-fledged beating yourself up because something more should be occurring, or whatever it is. And those are the moments where you get to go, pause. Okay, I'm upset and nothing is occurring. What's bothering me? That's the noticing. That's this observer. Having the observer side that's aware and can watch the upset allows you to make a choice. Pause, notice, and choose, or pause, notice, and shift. And this is what I think allows a person to make a choice to have and create a life they adore. It's actually not something that happens to you. It's something you create. in a word.
Oh, is that all your wisdom? I heard and felt, you know, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years of ancestors come through in that powerful declaration as well. That's amazing. I mean, in my head, I'm going control, alt, delete, but it's pause, notice, and shift, which I really love. And the other, I wanted to circle back to a couple of things you said. The first was about having that inner voice, almost like an inner coach. And the second is being able to observe ourselves, which are really huge. The inner voice, I've had that. I have an inner gremlin who, oh my God, used to have the power like 100% of the time. But I have this really intrigue. We've got the inner coach as well. Sometimes it used to be the voice of Abraham Hicks when I was listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks. But there's been a few times in my life, once when I was nearly compromising to live by the sea down in Dorset in the UK, and I was walking down the high street and, you know, it was drizzling and I was looking for like a really nice internet cafe so I could work and everything. And it just didn't exist. You know, this was the place that I was thinking about living. And I knew that Hawaii was calling. And then I had this booming voice in my head going, right, that's it. We're done here. And it was like, wow, what was that? And it was like, I obeyed. I had to obey. But and I've only had that voice a few times in my life, but I'm just curious if people maybe don't have that or don't have access to it. Do you have any guidance, any tips?
I mean, I think you have to choose to do something in order to develop a practice. It doesn't come by staying in the old story and staying in the resistance. And all of us learn how to get better at this by learning with somebody. It's kind of like someone says, you know, the chiropractor can't give him or herself their own adjustment. Like, one of the things I often say is that we're all a little invisible to ourselves. And like, often the thing that you do that most easily and the best with so much grace and ease doesn't seem important or significant or valuable to you because it's too easy for you. And there's kind of a cultural myth that what has value is what's hard and makes you suffer. So if I tell stories and lead guided processes and I love it and it's so easy, how can that be valuable? So you have to become able to see your gift. And often you can't see your own gift. You're too inside. It's like we're so normal to ourselves. We've lived with ourselves all our lives and we just seem normal. So someone who can draw with ease and grace or sing or play an instrument or do readings and all of these gifts that people have, often people will say to me, I don't know, people always just come to me for advice. I don't know why, I just help them as if it's nothing. And it takes sometimes some work to find these soul gifts that are often not the gifts we used for a big chunk of our lives. You know, you'll see in the title, like a lot of the work I do is around how midlife women and older can actually find that more elevated, more authentic soul calling and bring that out in the world. And part of that is because when we were younger and we tried to bring these gifts out, most of us got slammed into submission. Get a good grade, behave yourself, that won't earn you money, that isn't worth anything. And so we then shaped ourselves to the expectations of our families, our cultures, our religions, whatever it was, and shut it down. The good news is we get to have it back. And often as you get older, you kind of get to the point where it's like, I'm sort of over it. I've done it. I'm done complying and obeying and compromising and pleasing others. It's finally my turn.
Absolutely.
And this is something very, very exciting and very powerful. But you don't do it by sitting alone in the spin cycle. Like, it just doesn't happen. You have to go and be part of something that gives you new tools and new feedback, right? Because otherwise the voice in your head, like you were describing, is going to say, this is bad. So I'll give you an example. almost everybody watching, I would guess, has had moments, and maybe many moments, where you get just a creative download in whatever your form is, whether it's writing or art or music or whatever it is. And something just comes through you and you create it. You write it, you draw it, you paint it, whatever it is. And if you're honest with yourself, you will say to yourself, oh my gosh, I love that. When we get a spiritual download, an intuitive download, if we're honest with ourselves, we love it. We're like, but then if I say, would anybody else love it? No. We have, because when we got these creative spiritual inspirations and shared them in other parts of our life, nobody liked them. We got shut down. And so what happens is, when you get in a tribe of other, for me, women who work together, and you share and someone goes, that really moved me, it starts to rewire that old messaging that you got. So when you, and this is the thing, the internet now allows us to find our tribes. We can find who's connected. Like, you're signed up for this summit because you are resonant with Gerri, with me. You are choosing to be here. So this creates an incredible opportunity for us to bravely share the wisdom of our souls, like to trust our intuition and to start being more authentic to that higher guidance, soul message, really essence of who we are. And that, I think, is what's being called out of us right now.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Find your tribe. It's all about connection, because at the, well, you know, we're all one. We know that energetically, don't we? And it seems like, I don't want to go into some of the yuckiness that's happened in the world recently, but it's almost like that's, you know, we're yeah, oneness has been targeted sometimes. Was there a time, Devorah, where, you know, you really dipped and you didn't love your life, you didn't at all adore your life? Maybe you went into victimhood, or just horrible things happened, and if so, you know, what did you do that helped? I'm just thinking, because not everyone is going to have a life they adore right now, and you know, it can always
I don't
improve.
think there's such a thing as having a life that goes great all the time. Like,
Yeah.
before I started this entrepreneurial business about 10 years ago, I was teaching in a Jewish day school. I'm Jewish, and being Jewish is a big part of my life and my spiritual practice, and I'm a professional storyteller. So I started in this school in Portland, Oregon, as the storyteller of the school, and I had been the storyteller of schools in Los Angeles, and I had been in Israel performing, and so that was great. And for a number of years, I was a storyteller. Then I was the Jewish studies teacher, which was great because I'm really a deep, powerful, deep teacher. And then they said, we just want you to teach Hebrew. And they didn't have me do storytelling. Even when I said, oh, I'll volunteer, no, they stopped caring about my gifts and the brilliance that I brought and the transformation I created. And they just needed a body to teach Hebrew. And I was starting to feel that feeling like, I'm not feeling valued here. And I knew it was like, I really wasn't happy. I wasn't doing what I loved, and I wasn't as good at teaching Hebrew as I was at teaching spiritual studies and creative and ideas and storytelling and all of that. So I knew I wanted to leave, but I couldn't quite get myself to leave. And I managed to get fired. For a very weird, like, supervision reason. And it was very humiliating, you know, brought into the back office. But even so, in that moment, I was like, I know this is the hand of God. And this is what story you choose to tell yourself about what's happening to you. And I chose to understand that I believe in God. I believe that I have a higher calling in the world. And even before that, through all of my hard times, for whatever reason, I've always believed in God. Even when my Jewish upbringing did a very bad job of teaching it. I'm gonna have a whole one-woman show called Is God a Man in the Sky with a Beard and a Book? And I left my Jewish path, and it's a whole story of how I came back. But I always had this belief in God. So I had a certain thing that strengthened me all my life, which is when everybody else was terrible and horrible and falling apart, I could still talk to God about it. And I don't think there is such a thing as having a life that's always going well. The question is, what are you going to do to get support? So I did, I did college things, and then I did traveling things, and I did a lot of Jewish things that gave me connection to something spiritual and something elevated. And what we're going to do in just a couple minutes, a guided process. And I really believe that one of the ways that we elevate ourselves up out of what's making things feel miserable is by going into the higher realms. And I think this is one of the things that has, in my soapbox opinion, has been like suppressed. We have been, I believe, systematically suppressed from learning how to access our imagination and our intuition and trusting those. And I think this is an absolute fundamental human ability that without it, we have much less access to what brings us joy and much less access to what helps us feel elevated, feel transformed, get the help we need on spiritual and elevated levels in order to shift out of whatever's hard into something better. Without some kind of support or tools that are either creative or intuitive or spiritual or deep, you're just stuck in whatever other people are telling you and doing to you, and you have to get support to have a way out. And telling yourself the story that you're, arguing for your limitations. Like I can remember going, I'm doing it again. I'm arguing for why I can't do it.
Wow.
And that saying, if you say you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So catching yourself and going up or saying, I need help.
Yeah.
And being able to ask for higher guidance help and being able to hire somebody to help you or join something free. Go to a 12-step group, go to a Toastmasters, go to a meetup, go to your synagogue or your church, or go to something with spiritually soul nourishing, elevated people, because you are not going to get up all by yourself.
Yeah.
Just, and that's how we beat ourselves up more. So
I love it.
Here's one other teaching I think that will help. It's my get out of the goo teaching. And it uses the caterpillar metaphor. So the caterpillar is a caterpillar, and then it turns into a chrysalis. And in that chrysalis, it doesn't just grow cute little butterfly wings on its caterpillar body. It literally disintegrates into goo. And out of that goo, something new grows into the butterfly, and it has to struggle out of its chrysalis. And these 3 steps are the foundation of all creative endeavor. And I call it vision, chaos, manifestation. All creative endeavor, no matter what, will have your vision. And if you have an elevated vision, a creative vision, something positive, you will hit resistance. 100%. It's how God made the world. And I realized if you look, like I told you, I'm Jewish, so I love biblical teachings and sayings. And in the very, very beginning, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's a vision. It's not done yet. And the very next thing is the earth was what's called tohu vavohu, chaos. And then it says, and God said, let there be light. So if God had to go vision, chaos, manifestation, that is just a fundamental knowing. So here's what will help. If you land in the goo and it's just the second step to all visionary creative endeavor, you go, oh, I'm in the goo. What do I need to do? And if you picture the goo like quicksand, just struggling in it going, I'm terrible, terrible, because the only thing you cannot do when you're in the goo is to beat yourself up for being there. There's either a book you have already, like a stick, and you pull yourself out, or you call and you ask someone to throw you a rope to pull you out. Because being in the goo is just, oh, I'm in the goo. What do I need to do to get out of the goo? It's not that your life is horrible, that you're a terrible victim, that you're so bad and everything always goes wrong, and you're such a horrible person that you're never going to, it's like, oh, this is just the second step to all creative visionary endeavor. I need a shifting tool to get out of the goo. And so one of those tools is this guided process that I created. And so if you want, we can give people a little experience.
I would love that, because one of the questions that was I was desperate to ask was, because you said about creating or choosing a new story. Often if I'm having a tough time, I'll remember that actually the tough times I've had in the past have given me lessons and learnings and strength. if they don't know how to choose a story. But I think maybe they'll get that from this exercise.
Right.
Fantastico.
Right. So one of the things that we have been led to believe is that you have to figure everything out by trying harder to think about it. This turns out to be not true. That there's a whole other body of knowledge that is vastly greater than what you can think about by trying harder to think about it. And that is everything in your subconscious, in the higher realms you get with intuition. So when you do this In-Story Way guided process, it has the acronym STATE. That's the foundation of all. In-Story is my company, my business, and the In-Story Way guided process is a key process that will always, every time, give you answers that you're looking for, stories, images, and metaphor, because those are the language of your soul, of your subconscious, of the higher realms, and it gives you access to what you cannot get by thinking harder and trying harder about it, which I like to call the spin cycle, which I don't know what to do, 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 and it goes, So we're going to do a guided process. All you have to do is close your eyes and follow along. All right? All right. So everybody watching, just close your eyes and begin to notice your breath coming in and out. And really allow yourself to feel that shift to stillness. And feel a sense of breathing bigger than your physical self. And then allow your awareness to shift to that flow from above. Feel your connection to God, to Source, the universe, and feel that pure light from above coming down to the top of your head, filling your whole body, your whole being with light, love, healing, blessing, guidance, clarity, down through your feet into the earth, grounding you in the earth. And breathe up that solid, rooted, comforting energy of the earth into the center of your being, and be aware of being in that state of connected flow. This is always the first step of the In-Story guided process. It has the acronym STATE. The first step is stop and breathe. The second step is always think about it. And this is where you can gently put your attention on whatever we're working. We use this process for many things. Sometimes we use it for clearing. Today, we're going to use it for gathering. So what I want you to do today in the think about it step is I want you to allow yourself to feel a sense of deep gratitude. Let yourself feel grateful for your gifts, for the blessings in your life. This is the moment to put all those other things on hold. We're just going to give a turn to the gratitude side. Take a moment and feel a sense of being blessed. Feel grateful for what are your gifts, your talents, what you're good at. Just take a moment and notice and feel thankful for your gifts, for what you're good at, for what you love to do. What do you love to do? What brings you joy? And let that be gently in the front of your consciousness. The next two steps always go together, are ask and trust. And you're going to ask a question and you're going to trust the first thing you get. And here's what I want you to ask. You're going to ask, what is an image or a metaphor for who I am, what I do in the world, that's just right for me in this moment? What's an image or a metaphor that's just right for me in this moment, that will nourish my soul, will give me guidance, that is connected to my essence in this moment? And you always trust the first thing you get, no matter what it is. And if you went through, oh no, not that, not that, not that, yes, that. The trick is you have to trust the first thing you get, because that is how you outsmart that resistant, try harder mind. It's how you access this higher intuitive soul consciousness, soul information. So then the last step is interpret, is explain, interpret. It's the E, explain, interpret. And so the last step, you want to associate, how is this image like me? How am I like this image? And just let yourself associate to it. What does it seem to be telling me? What's the message? What's the feeling? And if there's something beautiful in your image, imagine that you can breathe it in. What you get in this work, it's always true. It may take some work to understand it, but it will always be true. And if you don't understand something, you can use ask and trust at this step or at any step in this work. You can ask, is there something else for me to understand or know from this image? And if there is, then that will come to you and you trust the first thing you get about it. So just take another moment to breathe in and notice anything else about this image, this metaphor, its message, its meaning, its feeling. And breathe it in. Trust it, feel it. And then begin to bring yourself back into this moment. Bring yourself back to your breath, back into your body, wiggle your fingers. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back. And what I recommend that you do is you just pause the video and write down what you got. And we'll be having a Facebook group with this summit, and you can share your image, and I will be happy to come in there. If you've got something and you don't really understand what it means, you can ask me, and you'll see when I talk about my free gift, I'll have more help for you around how to use this. But what I'd like to do now is, Gerri, if you're willing to tell us, what image did you get? What was
Is
your
it
image?
wise to share mine? Because I don't want to put ideas in other people's
No,
heads.
they all got theirs already, and it's
Okay,
wonderful for
cool.
you to share
I just got an
and talk about it.
I got an adorable one of a bed, and it looked like a child and an adult, and the child was kind of snuggled up and the adult was just soothing it. It was so beautiful. And what was obvious to me was that it was just this sense of I need to just be a little gentler with myself, maybe more rest, a little pampering. I can be quite hard on myself. And to actually just be okay when I want a nap. Like, I was thinking about having a nap before this event, before we chatted today. I thought, no, I would be totally zonked when we talk. But yeah, that was a real big one for me. And there was also an element of just like, oh, the ego, they're there. It's okay. When the crazy thoughts come in, or the ego stuff, basically. It's like, okay, sometimes I feel like it's just the wounded inner child.
But the feeling of the image was one of comfort and soothing, right?
Totally.
Like the image. See, this is what's important. The image was an image of a child and an adult being in a completely happy, soothing, comforting setting. And that's what I say, like, you breathe that feeling in, right? You breathe in this metaphor, the image of the feeling of total safety and comfort and love in such a simple, appropriate, and healing way. And what's also always so interesting is whenever I do this for someone who's hosting a series, the image also holds that energy for the whole series, for everybody, which means that this is all about creating a life you adore. And this image is holding that space of feeling that we are all held and loved and comforted on a very deep level. And this is your inner being saying to you, you are loved and you are comforted always. And this is one of the most powerful things about accessing the higher realms, because anybody who will talk about angels or guides, they always say, we love you. We love you so much. Whenever I talk to my guides, I always start with, dear one, we love you so much. And God, and all of the teachings about God are about how much God loves us. And we are so loved. And when people have access to this realm, you will feel this tremendous love. And your image is a metaphor in our physical lives that holds that pure love. That pure place of a parent comforting a child sweetly in bed is such a pure archetypal image of comfort. Wow. And when that comes to you, it holds that for everybody watching. And it reminds us that we have access to that. And this work gives you access to these profound inner messages and feelings. And they come in this very simple form that's very visceral. Like image and metaphor are very visceral. You can really feel it. And everyone can feel the feeling of the child with the adult in the bed being comforted, the pureness of that.
Yeah.
Right? Even with all the other things that are not the pureness of it, there is a pureness. And that love is available to everybody, and it can't be taken away. It can't be made impure. There's that love from above, that higher godly, higher consciousness love. It's pure and it's infinite and forever. And when you have access to that, that is part of what more than anything else will help people get back that beauty of who they really are at their core, in that beautiful place.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I often say is that it's not selfish to want to create a life you adore, because when we all have lives we love, lives we adore, we're creating the new earth. We're, it is the kind of world that we love. So why not?
Right. It's so true. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about working with women over 50 who've already learned so much, and that we really have wisdom. And we have we have what we've learned. I like to call it your lived wisdom, your learned wisdom, and your let in wisdom, like your intuition. Like when you combine what you've lived, what you've learned from what you've lived, and what you've learned from what you've studied in your life. And when you start to honor your intuition and you put those together, it's extraordinarily unique and powerful and meaningful. And I really do believe that us midlife women and older are really tapping into something really powerful to change the world, And
It's huge.
so
It's huge.
it's very exciting.
Tell us, my darling, about the gift, because we're not leaving you right now. You're leaving us with an amazing gift.
Right. So you'll have one gift you'll get right away, and once you're on my list, you'll get a second thing. So what you're going to get right away when you sign up is an audio of the process you just experienced, with two other dimensions to it, with a clearing your old story, with accessing image or metaphor, and it will give you access to a story from your past. And you will be able to use it over and over. It's a clean copy of an audio guided process of my In Story Way guided process. And it will give you direct access to hearing what you need to shift. Just like you could see in this small exercise, you can get answers to questions, what story to tell, how to feel better, what's in the way, what to clear. And the clearing part will clear away the most outer energy that's just got you sort of stuck. It'll help you clear your old stories that are just wreaking havoc in your head. So you're going to first clear away the old. You're going to collect a story, and you're going to collect an image or a metaphor. And then that will put you on my email list, and you'll get a series of emails which will also invite you, if you're interested, to talk to me about what you got and to what are you supposed to do with all this. Like, how do you actually get out of the spin cycle and begin to share your gifts with others to make a difference. And then coming up in May, I actually am doing my own interview series, the In Story Show. And this time we're focusing on making midlife magic. Like, how do you actually reconnect to your soul's purpose, to your story, to your calling? Like, how do you do that? And we're going to give you tips and tools. And so that's sort of my world that's really inspiring us to shine our light.
Thank you. Beautiful. Very exciting. And I think it's great that we had a sneak preview of what the gift is so that people access it and use it. So, Devorah, thank you so, so, so much. Your wisdom, your heart, your mind, sharing so generously with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, my love.
It is my deep pleasure and honor to be able to share this work.
Oh, thank you. And thank you all for joining us. Enjoy the free gift and see you next time. Bye, beautifuls.